What is going on, guys? Jesse504 here, bringing you all PBA recap number 3 for me for week 4. And yeah, just standard stuff, same as every other week. This week, unfortunately, Vinny was busy, so I don't have the exact scripts, so a lot of it will be a little more improvised. But still, let's just hop into the Gimbal Match of the week, which was a fantastically played game between the number 1 and 2 seeds being Vinny and Blau, sitting both 3-0 plus 13 before this game. And both of them brought some interesting prep, very strong teams. As you can see, early on, Blau tried to get a little bit of pressure with his Cosmic Power Mew, as Vinny tried to put up a little bit of pressure with the Sub-Toxic Zapdos, getting a free substitute on a Ferrothorn, which is forced to switch out to scout for a Heat Wave. And Vinny was able to land a Toxic on the Mew, synchronized back onto the Zapdos, leaving two bulky threats that would ideally not be Toxic, leaving them Toxic, which was interesting for both of them. Then the Mew reveals to be Cosmic Power, which was a potential issue for Vinny considering it was packing Roost, Body Press, and then assumed Stored Power 4th move. But then, they both had fantastic threats, including Vinny's Scolipede, which was able to put on a lot of pressure, and Blau was able to pivot around it very nicely, cycle Intimidates with his Crocodile, and then getting a burn on it with the Galarian Wheezing. And Vinny was able to call some of the switches out and Swords Dance on some switches, which led to Scolipede getting a plus 3 or 4 attack and speed boosted up, but it was Wisped, and it, I believe, eventually missed a Rock Slide on the Galarian Wheezing, which led it being taken out a little bit earlier than Vinny would have liked. And then late game, towards the very end, it was looking like Blau had the game locked up. Scarf Breloom comes in, takes a couple kills that game, and then in the end, it comes in. The arrow does not have speed for Scarf Breloom. Blau said after the game he valued the bulk more. So instead of speed for it, he just had bulk for it, and Vinny goes for a Bullet Seed. He gets a crit on the second hit, third hit, and fourth hit, and the arrow is down. Had there not been a crit, Vinny would have needed to get a 5th hit, which at that point I believe seeing 4 hits is like a 50-50 chance if you're going to get a 5th hit, but the crit able to seal it up. And then Blau would have had to, if there was no crit, if there was no 5th hit, he would have had to hit a move, which still, with a Mega Arrow, is never a guarantee. I don't know. I know the Breloom was low, and I know Breloom isn't that bulky. I don't know if it was quite in Earthquake range, which means that unless you're for some reason packing Aerial Ace Mega Arrow, you're going to have to rely on hitting either an Ice Fang, which is 95, but still not perfect, or like a Dual Wing Beat, which is 90, but again, still not perfect. But all in all, fantastically played match from both sides. I'm sure Blau would have liked it to end a little bit differently on the last turn, but still, great match from the two top seeds, handing Blau, I believe, his first ever loss in the PBA, which is incredible, and Vinny looks to be in his Season 3 form yet again. Going to the Gummy Gang match of the week, we see Lin and the Wishington Wishy-Washy going up against Sub-Zero and the Memphis Melmetals. Obviously, Lin a big underdog. His season has not gone how he wanted it to. Sitting at 0-3 minus 15, while Sub-Zero is 2-1 plus 9. But Lin was able to sort of pivot around a lot of Sub-Zero's threats very well. Position his Weavile in positions to get kills a lot, and really just position and to win the sack war pretty much is what this game came down to. And that plus the Mega Gallade, which put on a lot of pressure onto Sub-Zero's team, claiming a bunch of kills, was what really led Lin to be able to win this game. It was obviously a great way for him to turn things around for himself, sitting at 0-3 minus 15, picking up a win, and saving himself from being eliminated from playoff contention in week 4. So good for Lin picking up a win over a 2-1 plus 9 team when he was sitting at 0-3 minus 15. Big upset, as we all saw, but anyone can beat anyone in Pokemon. Up next, let's take a look at the Gibbs Standings, and we see after the impressive win from Vinny's side, we see 4-0 plus 14 at number 1, while Blau is sitting at number 2 with 3-1 plus 12, and rounding out the playoff contenders are Freeze, 3-1 plus 5, Iraz, Tark, Jake, Phil, who's had a turnaround after going from 0-2 to 2-2 plus 5, which is fantastic diff. And then Epic Pants sitting at 2-2 plus 3. Obviously, the loser of Jake versus Tark If Jake loses, he will probably fall out of playoff contention with his diff for the current time being, while Tark might not. As long as he doesn't get 6 out, he should still be sitting in playoff contention. And then just outside of playoff contention, both at 2-2, we have Scrosh, who started out 2-2, but then unfortunately fell off, and Shaman, who 2-2 -8, which is not the greatest diff for 2-2. But if we look all the way down to number 16 with Dat Boy, everyone has a win in Gimbal Gang. Hurrah! We see sitting at 1-3, Ace, Harm, Dad, Serp, Lemon, Ben, and Dat Boy, all sitting at 1-3. So, no one's eliminated from playoffs yet. 0-4 kind of has you out if your diff is poor enough, but really, once week 5 comes rolling around, we'll be able to see teams effectively getting locked for playoffs and teams effectively getting locked out of playoffs. So that's next week, but in week 4, still anyone has a shot to make it if you win out. Looking at the Gummies Gang, we see similar, but we still see 2 undefeated teams, being the Shitty Webbers and Boston Syndiquils, coached by Helix and Dylan, sitting at 4-0 plus 16, 4-0 plus 14 respectively. And then playoffs, we got a bunch of 3-1 teams. We got the Team Dark Dragon Knights, E-Town Escavaliers, Breaking Results, and Sacramento Caesars, all sitting at 3-1. And then just below, 2-2 with positive differential, we have the Memphis Melmetals and the Jinx Jolts. Great, good job for them. Sitting just barely below at 2-2 with a little bit negative differential. We have Ice and Onder with the Murder Queen McGearnuts and Open Water Waylords. I think both of them had rougher starts and they were able to turn it around, which is great for them. And then after this, 1-3, we have the Southeast Snorlaxes, Rockford Roselias, Hyper Offense with Dustclops, and the Washington Wishy Washy. And then sitting at 0-4, the 2 teams play each other this week. We have Zookeeper versus Shandy. Hopefully one of them wins. Loser gets eliminated from playoff contention. Winner can, in theory, still make playoffs if they win out heavy. So that's really, really big for Gummies, seeing teams. Next week you'll see the first couple teams get locked out of playoffs, which is always sad to see at week 5. But it's just what has to happen. Obviously, only half the teams can make playoffs in a given season. Going to look at the MVP race for Gimbal Gang, we see Crobat still sitting at number 1, and then the Breloom coming in up to number 2. Again, like I said last week, Breloom not really a mon that you expect to see this high, but it's a mon this high nonetheless. Followed by Mega Metacham, Mega Arrow, Zarude, Hitmonlee, I believe, making its debut up here. Slurpuff, Galarian Moltres, and Galarian Zapdos. Obviously, Galarian Moltres wasn't able to replicate its success in any other weeks. That's Wacky still sitting at 606 differential, which is crazy. And then Zapdos Galar, I believe, is pushing on here for the first time. Maybe it was here earlier, but I believe no coach has 2 mons on the race anymore, which is great to see. Everyone's getting mons with a lot of kills. Oh, actually, Scrosh has 2 at number 8 and number 10, which are still lower, but still having 2 mons on the top 10 is very hard to do because really you can't be feeding 1 mon kills and the other mons aren't going to be able to make it. Oh, actually, Freeze has 2 as well. Don't mind me. But Mega Metacham and Galarian Moltres both on the leaderboard for Freeze. Mega Medi has been putting in work in both divisions as we look at the Gummies Gang MVP race, where we see that mon is still not killed in 4 weeks. It's 7-0. Followed by Sylveon, Mega Mawile, Zapdos, Victini, Urshifu Single, Mega Aggron, which is a more defensive piece, Mega Gardevoir, Torrentee, and Mega Dia. Mega Dia was up higher early on, I believe, but it's able to, it's been falling off a little bit, but still picking up kills. 7 kills in 4 weeks is not shabby at all. We see Mega Medi and Zapdos both on the same team in the top 5, which is crazy to see, but other than that, I don't think there are any coaches with 2, which is crazy. Teams have really been varying the kills, and then Breloom fell off, so the only overlap mons, I believe, Mega Medi is the only overlap, which is interesting to see. Here, you see your unlikely top 10 MVPs in Mega Aggron, and Sylveon. But like I said last week, Sylveon's a fantastic offensive piece. It's just often forced into defensive roles. And then Mega Aggron, it just gets kills through just outlasting everything else. It doesn't hit. It hits crazy hard when invested, but usually you're not invested. And it's just sitting there and racking up passive kills or finishing off chip down mons. But good. We're seeing some tight finishes halfway point in the PBA. Thank you all for watching the PBA Week 4 recap.